All right, AMG Hobby Talk number 34, middle June edition. We are now into the summer, even though you wouldn't know that by being here. It was very definitely a hoodie, kind of light jacket weather yesterday, so not exactly, it didn't feel very summery this past week. And it doesn't really feel very summery today, but nonetheless, it is middle June edition. It's supposed to be summerish. So Sherry's off on location, but in the meantime, we've got the collector of the scallops, collector of the people. Steve, how are you?
I'm fantastic this morning.
Excellent. And Blair, how are you sequestered in your personal dressing room / office?
Given everything, I'm very fantastic.
Wow. Fantastic. So we're going to get us started here. We're going to talk about a couple of basic things. No major products to speak of, although we will touch on briefly a couple of products that are around restocks and coming in. So we'll touch on that. I will also mention what I was mentioned off the top is that scrolling across the bottom of the screen there, you've got some of the contact points, AMG Sportscards, the website, amgcollectibles.ca. You can use those contact points. There are some more in the description that you can use as well. So I do recommend, if you're ever curious about stock on certain product, if you're curious if it's in stock or how much is there, I would reach out as well. And if you've got any direct questions that are a little more time sensitive, I would do that. But of course, we'll always acknowledge the comments. We'll touch on a couple here in a second. But if you want a faster response, those are the better ways to do. Reach out to them. Steve and Blair will be there, and then they can answer your questions. So that'll be a more direct way and direct path of getting some responses. So before we move on here, I'll touch on a couple of things, a couple of the comments from the last episode. A few of you did give your Stanley Cup predictions, so I will include a couple of those here. So first one here, I got Tim Logan, and I'll just read the handles. So the way YouTube does it is it gives you the handles, so I'll just read it as is. So Tim Logan, 8603, says Edmonton in 7 games. Well, they're going to need it because now they're down 2-0 against Florida. So maybe we'll touch on that briefly here in a minute. So then Sean, 6378 here says Oilers in 6. So that means the Oilers will have to sweep going forward in order to hit Oilers in 6. So Oilers in 7 is a better shot if you want Oilers. But anyway, so here's a question for you two gentlemen. Aren't Blair and Steve in the same store in this video? They are. Why are they in separate offices for this show? So I'll give some highlights. There were demands made. The reason this podcast can exist, Steve is the collector of the scallops and collector of the people, but Blair has taken on quite a cult following. And honestly, part of the retainer is they refuse to be seen in the same room at the same time. Being in the same building is enough. That's about the most we can get out of it. Gentlemen, you want to give any color on this? But honestly, that's the explanation.
Restraining order.
Mm-hmm.
I won't say who took it out against who, but we're 15 feet apart right now. So, and that's by law, that's where we have to stay.
Yeah. There's secure round the clock security. Like
it's kind of like COVID. It's kind of like COVID where we have to maintain a vicinity at all times. 5 foot distance.
I'm sorry, them's the rules. So a couple of other things here. So do you guys sell AMG t-shirts, hats? I don't know. Do you guys have swag that you actually sell in the store?
No, but you know what? I've been thinking about that for a while. I like the idea. Okay. If nothing else, I get a new wardrobe. I don't have to do a wash 3 times a week, but definitely something to think about. That's a good question. I will.
Well, you could always leverage it. By the way, you could always leverage it as well. If you ever do like some in-store specials or something or whatever, like say on a trade night, you could give away hats or something. It could be a little thing that you could have like a little giveaway, like a drawing with some maybe like a blaster and a hat, something like that.
I do know Sherry actually mentioned last week maybe getting a little summer swag going with some lighter colors and stuff like that. So before we place the order, maybe I'll see if we can do a little something.
There you go.
Nice, actually. Yeah, it'd be nice to do. Well, of course, you'd have to have somebody else on board with that, but like some type of collab, just not your basic, like myself and Steve are wearing with the AMG Collectibles because you look like staff. But yeah, I don't know. There's lots you can do, but even a little collab with something else or just a different type of swag would be neat. I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, a good customer and friend of ours, Alex McLean from East Coast Lifestyles. If you're watching, maybe a little collab with East Coast Lifestyles. Actually, I like the idea. So
yeah,
Alex, when you're in this week, let's discuss.
There you go. He's getting the gears moving. I like it. So last comments here. So some other comments as well. Last thing, short term. I would like to see some videos of what's in your display cases. So there is some of that on the social medias. There is some of that for the Instagram video. But it's possible. I've mentioned to Blair and the guys that sometimes it's tough doing it when you're also running a store, but it is something we've talked about in the past about having, doing some pans of what's going on at some of the showcases, things just to give you a little day in the life slice of it. It's still something we can workshop. And now that I think, and I'm going to mention a little bit about the summertime in the store, it might be we might have little windows here and there as the store runs. It might be some opportunities to take advantage of that. We try to incorporate some elements of it into the podcast, but it's not a bad idea to try to have a little bit of that even beyond. But if you check out the Instagram, you will occasionally get pan shots of what's going on in display cases. So that's a good place to check for stuff like that. Some amount of time would be great to have an idea of what I might like to purchase for singles. Long term, why not in the future have a web-based platform that can handle individual pictures and prices for in-store stock, have it online as well as store thoughts. So which one of you wants to volunteer to do that?
I don't know.
By the way, it's a good idea, but as is always the case, I won't speak for you guys. And please, you feel free to add. But I'm just speaking logistically. Is you still got to have somebody to do it, and whatever time they're doing that, they're not doing something else. And when it comes to retail, there's almost always something to do. So unless you have a dedicated resource to that can devote the time, that's usually the hang up. And then the cost associated to that is usually part of that too.
I will say, like you touched on it with our other social media platforms, Blair probably twice a week does do a little post, a little video of what's in the store. And I must say, in another life, he must have been a golf announcer, because he's got a very relaxing voice. And a lot of times I put that on before I go to sleep at night, because he just puts me to sleep. But yeah, definitely check out the Blair's posts. They are good, and we actually does bring us some business. It's kind of neat. I'll post something, and the next day someone will show up to inquire about something he's posted. So but yeah, that's actually a good marketing tool.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I have, of course, exactly like Carlos said, sometimes it's time. You come in and, I'm not here all the time, and I have all the best intentions. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I got that, and I want to post that up. And of course, then it doesn't happen. You get busy, PSA customer, all that kind of usual retail stuff. But I have, although I haven't done it in a while, I was taking selected cards and posting them on the Instagram site with the prices and what they are. But yeah, try to do that a little bit more. And then on the other hand, what Steve said, I feel like Steve's personal stress ball.
Mm-hmm.
Big absolutely
stress ball.
There's a lot of elements to that. And like I said, though, that was the reason why I mentioned the thing about the time thing when it comes to retail. It's been years since I did it, but once upon a time I spent years working retail, different types. I sold wine. I worked in a party supply store. I worked in what was called Party Packagers before they renamed it. I think it's Party City now. I know I think they've rebranded it, but it was Party Packagers at the time. And I worked there for basically for about a summer. And when I was doing that, we had one section where it was all the little gift bags they have for the kids' birthday parties, different themed ones. You could spend an entire shift, and I did this. You could spend an entire shift like, okay, I'll go to aisle 2 and work on that, because it's a day when I didn't feel like going to the other aisles and dealing with it. And the reason I was able to do that, and this is just case in point of a lot of retail, the reason I was able to do that is I would go to the back, I go grab boxes and boxes and boxes. I'd spend probably 2 hours restocking, fixing, putting everything back. And one group of kids would come by like marauders, and then it would be like I had done nothing. The last 2 hours were completely vaporized. Now, in that case, I didn't feel like going to another aisle, and I already had boxes. So I was like, all right. So I'd spend another 2 hours going to restock. Another group of kids would come by marauders. I could eat an entire 8-hour shift and just redo it 3 or 4 times. And that was the entire thing. And by the time it was done, it's like, did you do anything? It's like, guys, we sold thousands of those bags, and I redid it 3 times.
Yeah.
But it's like I had done nothing. By the time it was done, it was like, so it all gets undone.
And sometimes before you do the, make the post or the video, especially like some of the products we'll mention today, by the time we get the video posted, the stuff's gone.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily productive to do that. A lot of times Blair will do posts on maybe something that's been in the store a little bit to gain some interest there. But, on products that you have limited supply on and stuff like that, sometimes within an hour of it arriving, it's gone. So yeah, there's that element too. You have to be productive with your time.
Yeah, I agree. And one other piece of advice I'll give, just in relation to what we already talked about. That's why I mentioned all the contact points at the very beginning of the show. If you do, for whatever reason, see one of these posts, and there is something that does interest you or appeal to you, he who hesitates is lost. It is worthwhile to reach out right away and maybe, like, call dibs, so to speak, if you're serious and you would really like it, especially if you've already been in the store and you're at least a known quantity. It'd be like, hey, by the way, I'd like to grab that. I can come into the store and grab it. I've done stuff like that in the past, and especially if you're a repeat customer, you've done business before, like you get a certain amount of cred to be like, yeah, we'll hold it for you for a bit, no problem, and then there you go. But hesitating is probably not the move, especially if it's reasonable. If you really want it and it is reasonable, go for it. At least make contact and check and make sure it's available. So just some thoughts that I would offer. So one more here. We've got Powerpuff Girls for life. Love the hand. In terms of the cup final, I just hope both teams lose. I like it. I appreciate that. I'm giving that one a heart. That one's getting a heart from me. I enjoy that. So we do appreciate the mention on it. And also, I missed this one. Robert Benoit, Florida in 6 games. So we do have a Florida pick on here as well.
Robert.
Yeah, so we've got that, and right now the Florida one's looking good. At least they've started off. They've only scored 1 goal so far. Edmonton's only scored 1 goal so far in the series. Bobrovsky had a very good game 1, very solid game 2. So Florida's playing. It's kind of playing out a little bit the way that I thought it would, just because Florida has been basically they're a very good opponent. I would say they're a very well balanced team to face off against Edmonton. Edmonton's going to have to be very smart because it's not good enough just to have high end talent. They're going to have to play an overall game if they want to knock down Florida. Doesn't mean they can't. 2-0 is not insurmountable, but it's not the start that they probably wanted. They probably wanted more than a goal in 2 games.
Yeah, and they probably wanted one of those games before going back to Edmonton. But yeah, McDavid and those guys, they're hungry. But how old is Bobrovsky? Like, he's not
like 35, 36. Yeah, so he's
anymore, right? Man,
he's closer towards the end. He signed a very big long contract. Yeah. But right now, like I said, when he's playing the way he's playing right now, he's playing close to Pete Bobrovsky. That's the guy they signed. That's the guy they wanted when they offered the big contract. That's what they were hoping for. Well, right now he's earning his money. Basically, that's what they were looking for out of him. And if he goaltends like this for 2 more games, Florida gets a cup. And by the way, all of a sudden you got a little state of Florida dynasty between them and Tampa, because they've been I want to say like in 5 of the last 6 Stanley Cup finals, either Tampa or Florida. They got their little mini dynasty going on between those 2 teams. Who would have thought? Those 2 Florida teams? I don't know. That's kind of interesting. So anyway, a couple of things. We'll share a couple of items that came in the store. But before we do, let's briefly speak on, Steve, you've got a couple of the products that are coming in. We mentioned Series 2 briefly, but is there anything else that you'd like to note? Restocks or anything else?
So the big product will be the top Series 2 baseball will arrive tomorrow. Again, limited quantities of that, so we expect it to sell fast. Mm-hmm. And just like we mentioned, don't sleep on it. You probably want to get here, tomorrow or Thursday, or reach out to the store, especially for pricing. Also, some restocks, starting to ramp up our Panini products finally after a couple of years, but at limited supplies. But we do have a restock of the 2023 Prism football hobby blasters and the Don Ross Clearly football. We've got some more of that coming tomorrow. It's a little bit more expensive on our end to do the rebuy on it, but we kept the price the same. So working at smaller margins on it, but we'd rather customers have it than not. Mm-hmm. And a couple boxes of the Recon basketball and WWE Chronicles is coming back in. And we actually have some Lost Origin Pokemon booster boxes. I know Blair's excited about that. They've dried up a little bit as well. So there's a limited supply of those as well. So, and to top it all off, we have the Topps G League basketball hobby boxes. Exciting stuff, but it'll be on the shelves. So
could you say?
Did you say G League?
G, yes, yeah, EFG, yes. Anyway, it's one of those.
I'm gonna refrain from comment.
Does that run out of Sackville?
Yeah. Yes, I believe so. But there's some products that you just have to take, and that's one of them. But there is some future stars in there.
That's true.
I think like
there is some of that. Yes,
yeah,
there is some of that.
2 of the top 5 draft picks, I think, last year came out of that league. So it's an interesting product, and it's priced. It's not an expensive product. So for people that want to speculate, and it's an inexpensive rip, that would be a good product to pick up too. So yeah, some good restocks, and kind of like we mentioned earlier, Blair could do a video on it when it arrives, but it probably won't stay on the shelves long because our local customers are hungry for some of those products, because it's just a little bit harder to get out east here.
Mm-hmm. All right, sounds fair. And then one other thing I'll quickly touch on, since we talked about it, and again in the same vein of reach out to the store to check in. One of the things that we've noted, of course, is that there is the PSA Canada office kind of built in out of the store, and I do know that it is in progress right now, but some of the expo stuff is starting to come back. Obviously, people are going to be, they're going to start hearing from it, but if you're curious or want to double check statuses or anything, you can reach out as well. So that's one of those things that you can check in on, because I know that a little bit of it has started to come in, and we'll be able to showcase. I'm going to be able to showcase some graded cards here that we'll go into in a second. But as part of that, just a reminder, in case you're curious or want to know what the status is, usually you can keep tabs, but at the same time, it doesn't hurt if you want to double check and ask. So at least it doesn't hurt to check. One more thing we'll touch on then, and then we'll finish off showcasing some items here that we've got that Steve was nice enough to share with me. As I mentioned, it is summertime. It does get a little quieter. That's why the card shows and the trade night. Well, trade nights are trade nights still going on during the summer?
Yep, I think we have our last show. Is it on the 29th, I believe?
Yeah.
And then proceeding the night before will be the trade night. But as far as we know, our intention is to continue with the trade nights the last Friday of each month.
Perfect. Yeah. So it's the card show that's going to take a little hiatus for the summer,
Right.
basically, which makes sense. That's fine. But the reason I was bringing it up was that that's pretty standard, especially a lot of times. It's always interesting when there are some shows during the summertime, because it's like, and by the way, the expo does this as well, because they have a whole stack of shows. They run a whole stack of them, and then suddenly it gets quiet a little bit until basically the fall, because obviously people are out. They're out of the cottages. They're enjoying the summer, or whatever the case may be. But from a store perspective, that is a thing as well. You still got your regular customers that are going to be coming in. Obviously, there are going to be products and things like that that are going to draw a certain crowd. But do you adjust anything in terms of what you guys do in a store? So this is a question for the two of you. Do you adjust anything what you do in terms of what's going on in the store? You still, of course, serve whatever customers are coming in. You still look for opportunities to transact at the same time. But is it an opportunity kind of to maybe shuffle things around in the store, restock? Maybe we get Blair to do some more of the pictures and things like that. Take advantage of the opportunity. What do you do to adjust to a summer schedule in the store versus during the winter months?
You want to handle that one, Blair?
I just plan on dusting my office because I'm in here all the time. No. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we adjust our, Steve could probably talk to this, but as far as like ordering products, I mean, we're still going to get our products and bring them in, and it's all related to release dates and stuff. So that's going to continue. But yeah, no, I think along the lines of what you said, Carlos, maybe a little quieter time. We get into boxes of stuff that we hadn't had a chance to go through, find some, redo some of the showcases, freshen things up a little bit, and obviously focus on, not that we don't focus on customers, but when oftentimes it's quite busy with a lot of things going on, PSA and people looking to purchase and buy products and stuff. So maybe a little bit more time when somebody comes in with cards, with questions on cards and things like that. And of course the PSA, that's not going to stop. That's always in place. So not a lot changes, I don't think. Probably just what we do with our time, and how we spend it. But yeah,
no, it's definitely a regroup, reload, reorganize. Like Blair said, work on some projects that have been sitting on the back burner. Looking at some product that might be a little stale. Basically just gives us a little bit of time to breathe. Make sure inventory is in order. Yeah, and even spend a little bit more with time with customers than normal. A lot of times there's, 12 to 15 people in here at a time, and in the summer months it quiets down, and so you can spend a little bit more time. And the last several months I've been stuck in the office a little more, whether it's pricing cards or just doing stuff away from the customers. So I'm going to start wandering out there a little more, and maybe Blair can teach me about Pokemon a little bit. And but yeah, just kind of regroup, I guess, and think about what's next, and Sherry, and whether Brad will throw his 2 cents worth in every now and then, just come up with some new ideas. Even I like the new the swag idea that the one comment there. I'd like to see that. We've kind of dabbled on it before. It might be worth playing with, especially with the larger storefront. We do have room to try different things, and that's part of the reason we took the bigger space. We can try something. If it doesn't work, try something else. So
I think that makes sense. It makes sense. That's why I kind of wanted to present the question to you guys, because as I said, I've lived a little bit of the retail cycles, and there are quieter months and then there are busier months, and it depends on the type of business. That changes a lot of it. And in that party supply store, the run up to Halloween is the biggest, 70% of the year's sales was Halloween. So the ramp up, I was putting out Halloween stuff in July. Like the process was starting early as far as that. But that type of business has that cycle. Other types of businesses have a very different cycle. When I was at the wine store, the holidays are the big run up. So then all of a sudden we get way more inventory. We'd increase stock. But then other parts of the year would be a little quieter. We'd still order things, but it would be a little bit slower, and you'd move things around, reshuffle the deck, and adjust things, have sales, and all that stuff. But as far as the swag is concerned, I think I've got it. Blair, all I have to say is AMG, Hawaiian shirts, and bucket hat. I can see you parading around the store, Hawaiian shirt and the bucket hat. That's a combo right there.
Okay.
I see the vision.
I don't know. I hate to cover up that hair, though. Some great looking hair.
He doesn't have to wear the bucket hat the whole time. I just think, imagine people would be like, "What is going on with this guy?"
How about a bandana?
Oh yeah.
Listen, roll with it, Blair. Roll with it. But the point is, the Hawaiian shirt is like, people would be like, "What is wrong with this guy? What is going on here?" That'd be fantastic. The question
we might get some more people in the store.
You would, if nothing else, to be like, "What is this? What is going on here?
What's that guy doing?"
There you go. Would you guys like some cards? I think I can't think of anything that could possibly go wrong.
No.
And that would make content. We can definitely get content out of that, if nothing else. So there you go. Some thoughts, some ideas. We appreciate the comments that everybody left. Feel free to leave any comments in there. If you got questions or anything you'd like to know about, please, by all means, feel free, because it helps inform the content. It also tells us if there's something that maybe we got to go into in some more depth. So feel free to throw that in the comments, and we can discuss it on a future episode. Now, I'm going to share some of the cards that Steve included here for me. We've got a little bit of variety of different things, so I'll share a couple here off the top. And Steve, if there's anything that we want to add to it, feel free and let me know. So first one here, we've got a Victor Wembanyama 2023 Prism. We've got the Prism, I guess, rookie parallel, so to speak, in a PSA 10. So nice, clean copy. Now, one more thing I'll add. Obviously, this was a little controversial because a lot of people were complaining about the curtain in the background, but at the end of the day, like, it's a photo shoot card. So, a little bit of Photoshop in it, but you got a little curtain behind him. So, there you go. He's out there in front of a curtain. A little more traditional here. We got an 84 Topps John Elway rookie card. So we've got that one in there. Kind of a classic card. Looks nicely centered as well. So we got that a nice mint 9. Looks pretty clean. I like that. Here we got some hockey covered. Lucas Dostal. Looks like an on-card auto as well. So number to 99, Ultimate Rookies. Nice looking patch piece there. Now, one more thing that also struck me. Now, I think I'll have to see. I did hear. I think is Anaheim's changing their design again, right?
Yeah, I think I saw a little bit. I think they're going back more to like the it looked like the original Mighty Ducks thing.
That's what I saw.
Whatever, it's going to be better than, I'm not even sure what that is, but yeah.
I think it's supposed to be like a wing. They tried it. It's a thing they tried. Yeah, that's fair. All right, next up here, we got a pair of, I believe these are both rookie year Randy Mosses. So we've got the Bowman Best Randy Moss in a PSA 10 and the 98 Finest also in a PSA 10. So Randy Moss times 2. If you like your
Very
chromium Randy
affordable
Mosses.
Moss rookies. Of course, he was a heck of a player back in the day.
Yeah. I haven't seen
I would say really elite talent, because when he was at his best, like it was crazy the things he could do. He did have some success, but I kind of wonder, he's one of those guys with wide receivers with talent like that. You wonder if they were focused and locked in on the game the whole time, what they could have done. As it was, Hall of Fame already. I believe he's already in the Hall of Fame. So, and the talent was certainly worthy.
Yeah, those are good rookies to add to a collection because they're not super expensive, but like we discussed, heck of a player. So, a good one to add to any collection.
Yeah. And a little note here, since you can obviously see it on the screen if you're watching in the video version, it is also interesting to have the contrast where he's in here. You've got him pictured as number 18 and pictured as number 88. So you got two versions there. Again, rookie year, same 1998 in both cases, both Topps products, but you've got them in two different ones. So it's interesting to see that they actually had two different versions of the images and the home and away. So you've got a little contrast between these two, a nice pair. All right, so we got some hockey here. So this looks like a nice clean grouping, Steve. So tell me a little bit. Is this part of a collection? How did this come into being?
Yeah, so this is actually we finally got caught up, and I was able to get the pricing the rest of the Toronto pickup. So this is I picked up a 68 and 69 O-Pee-Chee set in Toronto, and yeah, they were nice clean sets, like not PSA 8 quality, but they're like EX, X mint, near mint range. But yeah, and I mean, just hard to get these in any condition now. Yeah. So yeah, and we've been moving quite a few of them. I'd say we're about 50% through the 68 and 69s, but there's still lots of good singles left in the store. So definitely come in and check those out.
Very nice. These are actually, as far as centering and stuff goes, this little collection anyway, because these are notoriously bad. Well, there's a lot of it anyway, but yeah, these are normally notoriously bad centered. And
absolutely. Anything 60s and before, if you can get it nicely centered, it's got good aesthetic appeal for a collector, which is nice. That's why I say they're nice, clean looking copies. Yeah. It doesn't not everything has to be mint, especially if you're talking 60s and before. If you get a nice looking copy, the picture's clean and it's nicely centered, or at least decently centered, it's going to carry a lot of weight with a lot of collectors.
These are very presentable.
Very much so. Yeah. All right. So this one here, Gabby, I know next to nothing. I got nothing. I know it's soccer. I know it's a purple wave refractor and a PSA 10. So nice looking card.
So he's one of the, future stars of the game, if not already. Of course, he plays with Barcelona, and this one's numbered out of 15. So it would be, it's a big card. And it's available in the store, and don't expect it to last too long.
Oh, absolutely. No, if somebody's into soccer and then he's one of the rising stars, they're going to be all over it. So it's got the little rookie card logo on there, UEFA Champions League. So that much I know, which is fair enough. We've got that. As I said, it was Purple Wave, FC Barcelona. So as Steve said, what does the Merlin mean in the corner?
Merlin's the brand. It's a higher
actually
end
the brand.
product.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's they make a nice card.
They do.
Interesting. I wasn't familiar with Merlin. Mind you, I'm not in soccer. Fair enough. It feels very much Topps Chromey with the whole purple wave and everything. It very much gives me a Topps Chrome vibe. So I didn't realize that Merlin was a thing. So I learned something on that one. I did not know that. That's interesting. It looks like a good quality card, though. Credit to them. It looks like a solid card.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this was kind of a little bonus. This was not available.
Yeah.
This one may belong to someone, but I know he was very proud of it. But it's a very cool looking card, so it's still worthy of showcasing here. So 2023 Select WBE Mr. T, a black 1 of 1 in a mint 9, so solid looking one. What I will say as well, if you're curious why Mr. T and why WBE, so this would have been in the early WrestleManias. I want to say this is WrestleMania 2, I think, because I think he had a boxing match with Roddy Piper. and that was part of the early WrestleManias. Mr. T was involved in both WrestleMania 1 and WrestleMania 2, but as memory serves me, like I said, don't quote me 100%, but I think it was WrestleMania 2. He had a one-on-one boxing match with Roddy Piper. It was quite the spectacle. Very interesting. And this is representing it, which is kind of cool. It's a little bit of a deep cut if you remember the early WrestleManias.
And this is Brad the collector's card. I kind of watched him going back and forth, negotiating with the owner, making offers back and forth. And I think I might have actually finally clicked the accept button on the final offer, but Brad was tickled when he got this card. So it's a nice card for his collection.
Absolutely. And the funny thing, as I said, it is a WWE product. But if you talk about the 80s, Mr. T was a big star with between the A team and a lot of things. There's a reason WWE was really, well, WWF at the time, that they really wanted to be a part of it because he was such a big star. A team was going off. He was doing a lot of things, and Mr. T was a star in his own right. And then on top of it, like the fact he was willing to do this stuff made it very helpful for WWE in those early WrestleMania days. He was one of the stars that helped launch that WrestleMania, brand that is a brand today. We just had number 40 not long ago, so we're talking early WrestleManias 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Mr. T was a prominent part of that. So very, very cool. Beautiful. So I think that covers a lot of what we wanted to touch on. So hopefully you folks enjoyed that. It was a love variety. Again, we'll definitely chat a little bit more now that we're going to have the opportunity. We'll come up with some different topics that we'll touch on. And Steve and Blair will be working on the swag. Like I said, Hawaiian shirts. We're ready to go. Like it's gonna be spectacular. I can't wait to see Blair modeling them all throughout the store. I think that could be quite a spectacle, quite a sight to see for all of you to enjoy if you go down to AMG Collectibles this summer. That sounds like a threat, actually. It sounds more like a threat than anything else. We might need the restraining order. All of us might need the restraining order. What do you have to say for yourself, Blair?
I'm gonna go no comment.
Mm-hmm.
I'll do anything for AMG almost.
Steve,
Almost.
this could turn out so well or so badly. I can't see what could possibly go wrong. I like that Steve's also restraining himself, but at the same time, like there's a little smirk developing underneath the surface.
Oh, the light bulb's going off right now. He put it out there. He'll do anything. So
anything you say,
almost.
This could be highly entertaining. Highly entertaining. But anyway, so we'll leave it at that. Like I said, feel free to throw in any comments, any thoughts, questions, or anything you might have, because then, as I said, it'll help inform. And if there's something that we can touch on in more depth, we'd be happy to. Hopefully, we'll be able to showcase some more cool cards for you to be able to check out. Again, if there's questions, if you're curious if any of them are available or whatever the case is, use the contact points, either in the description or the one scrolling across the bottom. Those are the best ways to reach out. If it's more time sensitive, reach out directly. That'll be a better way of getting a better answer, and the team will be happy to respond to you and give you any responses they can. And you can also find out if new stock is coming into the store and what the availability is. So that'll be the best way to check out that and pricing. So for Collector Scalps, Collector of the People, I thank you. And then for Blair, before he prepares himself for his Hawaiian shirt extravaganza, that is it for episode 34. We thank you for checking this one out, and we will catch you in the next one.